The gaming community has never been the same ever since Anita Sarkeesian grifted her way into the gaming industry. What added more fuel to the fire was the rise of the Me Too movement that cultivated a new form of character assassination known as cancel culture. Zoe Quinn, a wannabe game developer, had accused the founder of an indie game company called BitBlot. His name is Alec Holowka, and he was eventually blackballed from the game industry because of Zoe Quinn's allegations posted on Twitter. In 2019, Alec's sister had reported that her brother passed away due to suicide. He left a note stating, "In the end, I felt that I lost everything, too much." We can't forget the 2016 election when President Trump's inauguration angered game journalists and caused them to blame gaming culture for his victory. So those are the three elements that essentially shaped the gaming industry as a whole as we know it today. More importantly, Anita Sarkeesian and the Me Too movement have pretty much scared the gaming industry. And a lot of developers and a lot of companies were afraid of the cancel mob and not wanting to get canceled. And this allowed Anita Sarkeesian, game journalists, and many others that's like her to be able to maneuver and have the gaming industry in the palm of their hands. And this is where you start to see a shift in how women are depicted in video games, more specifically from the West, which I've done a video on, which is how the Western side of the gaming industry depict women versus how the Eastern side of the gaming industry depict women. So you haven't checked it out, most definitely check that out in order to get a full detail of how far this have gone and how this all started. So check it out. But after all that's been said and done, Anita Sarkeesian had pretty much been irrelevant, but her presence is still felt, and she had essentially left a blueprint for others to pick up. Because now we have a new agency, we have a company that pretty much became Anita Sarkeesian 2.0, something much more nefarious than what Anita Sarkeesian could ever be. She was just the precursor or the predecessor to something that's much more nefarious that we have never imagined was going on. And this is the thing, we didn't know that this company exists till just now. So we're definitely going to dive in. I want to break this to you because this company is known as Sweet Baby Inc. Now, Sweet Baby Inc., just hearing the name, it just sounds weird. What is Sweet Baby Inc.? Sweet Baby Inc. is essentially a consulting firm. You know, these people pretty much would go, or companies would go to them to help them figure out how to make their game much more diverse, or how to make the narrative appeal to marginalized groups. And they have been making a shit ton of money off this. And when you go to their website, you can check out the projects they've been working on and also their clients. You will see Square Enix on there and many other companies that has been going to them for consulting services. But most importantly, the thing that really brought them to the forefront is their most recent project they had worked on, was the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. This had really shunned the light, especially when people notice of their existence. And they've been around since 2018, and not anyone ever knew that they were around until the Suicide Squad had blown up because of the controversy that surrounds it. And then not only that, they have worked on God of War, and you already know differences that you see in today's God of War compared to the God of War in the past. But why are they mentioned now besides Suicide Squad? What is the big deal? What is the big problem? Well, just for the past couple of days, there's been drama that's been surrounding Sweet Baby Inc. from a user named Cabrutus. Now, Cabrutus, he's a follower of mine, and I did not expect this whole thing to blow up. He tagged me in it, and he said essentially, "Hey, MugenLord, check this out. I had developed a curator group that essentially takes all of the games that Sweet Baby Inc. have essentially worked on, and we compile it all together. And this group has started to grow in size." He wanted me to check it out, and his biggest fear was him being banned from Steam itself. Now, I made a quick reply at the time because I was working on a video, so I bookmarked it to come back to it later. But as days went by, it blew up to something much bigger, which we'll get into. But he was afraid that he was going to get removed and banned from Steam. And I essentially said, I doubt that you're going to get banned. And this is because I didn't think this thing was going to get that big at the time. So What is the big deal about this curator page that I just mentioned? Well, when you go to the page, and you can go to it right now, I actually post a link in the description below that you can go to it, join the group. It's just they compiled all the games that has been influenced by Sweet Baby Inc. And it gotten so popular to the point where people is now seeing it. The normies themselves are seeing it. Say, wait a minute, they worked on this game, and then you start to see the history. You start to see the track record. Like I said, Suicide Squad was one of the games that really brought Sweet Baby Inc. to the forefront of this company's existence, and this caused a lot of problems because now people are saying that, hey, any game that they working on or they gave consultants services to, we would not support this game. Now this causes a big issue to the point that it have gotten the employees of Sweet Baby Inc. to respond and create a harassment campaign towards Cabrutus. And this is where things get big because journalists begin to pick it up and they begin to give their opinions on it as well, and also defend Sweet Baby Inc. And this is why people refer to this as Gamergate 2.0, because of this entire situation where Sweet Baby Inc. is made as the innocent victim in this situation, when Cabrutus in the Discord or the curator group is essentially the ones that's innocent here, because they tried to flag, because we had two individuals who pretty much turned around and tried to start a harassment campaign. And this person, of course, is none other than Chris Kendrick. Chris Kendrick was the first one that discovered this and tried to rally up a crowd to create a harassment campaign. Now, they try to paint themselves as the individuals that's being harassed because of the simple existence of this curator group, and try to make it seem like it wasn't following the guidelines and the policy of Steam itself, when that in fact was a complete lie. Now, to pretty much show how stupid and the hypocrisy of all of this is, Kindred said that he's being harassed. But when you look at it, he have gotten together a bunch of different people to get together and create a harassment campaign to get Cabrutus Twitter, the Steam taken down, Twitter, everything taken down. So how are you being harassed when you're the main one that's rallying everybody up to harass this group that isn't bothering everybody? And the main point of this group is to inform consumers so they can be able to make an informed decision before going out and spending their hard-earned money on this game. So on these games. So this is why it's problematic to Sweet Baby Inc. because now it exposes their agenda and exposes their agency or their firm for what it is. And then it wasn't over yet, because then we have somebody else that goes by the name Felix, aka Lego Butt, and it's always these people with these weird names, these weird looks, and like you can just pick them out. But essentially, this person wanted to pretty much expose this group, this curator group as well, and it didn't work out too well, because then they try to go down the racism route with this whole entire situation for Sweet Baby Inc. themselves, because thank the community notes. You gotta love the community notes on Twitter. They've just been blowing people up, exposing people. But we find out that Lego Butt, aka Felix, is also an employee for Sweet Baby Inc. who tried to smear this curator group. And then, just as the gaming community always does, when there is a problem, which makes us very unique to any other industry or community, we always come together to fight a common cause. The community got together to fight against these employees from Sweet Baby Inc. that tried to create this harassment campaign, and they started digging in even farther and discovered that Felix has some issues going on behind the scenes as people started to dig up and find past tweets. And we start to find out, and I always want to point this out, especially when it comes to this hypocrisy, when it comes to people like this, these SJWs, these wokies, these lefties, however you want to call them. They always talk about wanting to be inclusive, and they bashing and fighting against the fascist people that's out there within the industry itself. But then you turn around and you find out that these people who always virtual signal, it's always the same people who have skeletons in their own closet, and they the ones that appear to be racist, because gamers begin to find out that Felix himself had some tweets that was dug up that was essentially racist, and it was more so derogatory towards straight white males. And as I post a lot of these tweets, you can see that this person has a disdain for white people. It's my opinion on this whole thing when it comes to racism. Now, me being a black person or a person of color, I don't like racism just as much as anybody else. But the thing about me, I'm consistent when it comes to racism. Because this is the question I gotta ask a lot of people, especially people that's like Felix. Do you hate racism, or are you advocating for racism as long as it's not directly directed towards you? Because there's a lot of people out there that's minorities or in these marginalized groups who are just as hateful or just as racist as the people that they claim to be fighting against. Because to me, in my personal opinion, I'm against all kinds of racism. I don't care, all forms of it, I'm against it. I don't like racism done towards me, and I wouldn't want racism done towards white people. And it's not me kissing white people's ass or anything. I'm just a consistent person. And yes, black people, people of color, and marginalized groups can be racist. Let's not pull up this institutionalized, I don't have power bullshit. No, you can be racist. Trust me on that. You definitely can. And me raising a biracial child, trust me, racism from the marginalized group and minorities is definitely a thing. But I digress. And this is the problem. These people are inconsistent when it comes to racism. See, they say they hate it, but then it's totally okay when it's pointed in the other direction, as long as it's not towards them. So these type of people, they're okay with racism. As long as it's not directed towards them, it's open season towards white people. It doesn't matter what direction it go. We shouldn't have it. But let's continue. So he was exposed for that. And then more people begin to dig. And we begin to find who the CEO is of Sweet Baby Inc. And this CEO, she goes by the name Kim Baylor. And as we discover, people begin to dig and found out that she had a press conference at the GDC press conference. And this was one of the earlier conferences that this CEO Kim had, because the company was founded and established in 2018, and this happened in 2019. And people began to find out what Sweet Baby Inc. and many other people that's like Anita and Sweet Baby Inc. and how they able to put their talents into the gaming industry. As you see right here, she exposes that they use bully tactics. They threaten a lot of these companies in order to get their way and infiltrate their way into these positions of power. And this is how they able to pretty much shift the narrative when it comes to these game developers and how these games are designed, all because of this. And as you see in this video right here,
if you're a creative working in AAA, which I did for many, many years, put this stuff up to your higher ups. And if they don't see the value in what you're asking for when you ask for consultants, when you ask for research, go have a coffee with your marketing team and just terrify them with the possibility of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want.
Yes, a lot of people would tell you that this is a conspiracy theory. They're not trying to infiltrate anything. But you hear from the woman herself, from her own words. They want to terrify these developers with their marketing team to be able to scare these people into getting the results that they want. This is a bully tactics. Cancel culture is their weapon in order to get what they want from the industry itself. And as I said before, a lot of these people, including Kim herself, a lot of these people wanted to be activists. They wanted to be politicians and couldn't cut out for it. So they had to seep their way into an industry that was pretty much shielded from it, that was never really affected by it. And then right after that happened, they took it over, and this is where we at right now. But now that you know about Sweet Baby Inc., we know about Kim, we know about some of the employees and the attack campaign, now that these journalists are now trying to make us appear to be the enemy in all this. What do we do from here? Because it's still not over yet. Sweet Baby Inc. is just still a small part of the problem. Why do you say that, MugenLord? Why is Sweet Baby Inc. still a small part of the problem? Well, as I said before, and I said earlier in this video, why do companies still insist on doubling down, despite the fans saying we don't want this, we're not going to support this. We saw Suicide Squad, and we starting to see a lot of these games crumbling and falling apart and people calling it out. But yet, they still doubling down on this. Why are they doing that? Despite that, now that we know that Sweet Baby Inc. is one of the players in this, why are they still doubling down on this? Well, it's simple. If a company is given incentive to do it, then why not? Especially if the reward is, we're going to invest more money into your business if you continue down this path. So what is it I'm talking about? What is this incentive? Well, that incentive is called the ESG. Now, I know a lot of you in the comment sections are confused about the ESG. What is the ESG? Why y'all keep bringing it up and I never get a clear-cut answer? And today, I'm going to explain that to you guys. And we're going to go to the website to talk about the ESG and how this is impacting the gaming industry as a whole and why these developers are essentially doubling down on the stupidity. So, what we're going to do is the ESG. We go to Forbes.com and it says from the ESG, it says ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance. What is ESG investing? So in the article it says, when you choose ESG investing, you're putting your money to work in companies that strive to make the world a better place. This type of ethical investing strategy helps people align investment choices with personal values. ESG stands for environmental, social, governance, and governance. ESG investors aim to buy the shares of companies that have demonstrated a willingness to improve their performance in these three areas. This is where we get it into, everybody. You have to pay attention to this. This is where the problem is coming in. See, Sweet Baby Inc. is just a small part of the problem. Anita Sarkeesian, a small part of the problem. This is the main villain right here. So, what is the ESG? ESG is a criteria considered how well public companies safeguard the environment and the communities where they work, as well as how they ensure management and corporate governance meet high standards. At its core, ESG investing is about influencing positive changes in society by being a better investor, says Hank Smith, Haverford Trust Company. According to Smith, ESG investing assumes that there are certain environmental, social, and corporate governance factors that impact the company's overall performance. By considering ESG factors, investors get a more holistic view of the companies they back, which advocates say can help mitigate risk while identifying opportunities. So, down here, this will explain how it works. How does the ESG investing work? First, we're going to start with the E, which is environment. What kind of impact does a company have on the environment? This can include a company's carbon fiber footprint, its abstinence from or mitigation of toxic chemicals involved in its manufacturing and other processes, and its pursuit of sustainability throughout its supply chain. And this is why you start to see more and more companies, not just gaming, but companies in general, talk about global warming. Global warming, the more and more they push global warming, the more and more investments they get. This is all about money. And then the one that affects the gaming industry the most is the social aspect. We're going to get into the social aspect. How does the company improve its social impact, both within the company and in the broader community? Social factors include everything from the LGBTQ plus equity to racial diversity in both the executive suite and staff overall, and the inclusion programs and hiring practices. It even looks at how a company advocates for social good in the wider world beyond its own limited sphere of business. And to further elaborate on the ESG scoring system, is calculated on a scale of 100 points. The better a company performs in fulfilling different ESG criteria, scores may vary among firms, which may employ different metrics and weighing schemes. While the specific factors assessed vary by company, ESG rating firms commonly review things like annual reports, corporate sustainability measures, and board structures. So these investors are essentially looking for companies who are taking the responsibility or the initiative when it comes to environment, social, and governance of communities and the industry within itself. So many of these clients are very concerned about the environment, social problems such as climate change leading to more and severe climate crises, gender and racial inequality, data security, and privacy. They want to make sure that they don't invest in firms that exacerbate or contribute to these problems, and would rather invest in those who are championing the ESG movements. And this is why you're starting to see a sudden shift in our video games, is because that these companies want that ESG investment, and they want to have a great social standing in the eyesight of these investors in order for them to get these ESG investments. So now that you know what the deal is, Sweet Baby Inc., Anita Sarkeesian, they are just a small part of what the actual problem is. It's the ESG investments. There's so many incentives for these companies to go out in order for them to gain more investment from these kind of investors. And this is where the gaming industry is impacted the most. This is why, if you notice, Sweet Baby Inc. started in 2018. If you notice, all the games, even though Anita Sarkeesian came in at 2014, she set all this up. But you notice a radical shift, a dramatic shift in how games and how diverse these games and the inclusion of LGBTQ just skyrocketed around 2018. Around 2018, what games released around this window? 2018 and beyond. We had God of War. We also had Gears of War 5, and many other titles that we can keep going on about. That you have noticed that you start seeing more women of power, more women in main roles in video games. If you look at the Microsoft press conference and the Sony state of play, you notice that in the presentation you have more female speakers. Not having women themselves is not the issue, it's not the problem. The problem is that it's inorganic. They're using these people, or they use these marginalized groups more in the case of becoming check boxes or check marks, just meeting a criteria. This type of diversity is not real. It's not organic at all. It's not because they want to. They see that, hey, if we do this, we get more money. And then they do it at the cost of the gamers. They do it at the cost of sacrificing storytelling, great character development, and push it to the side because they just want the investment. And this is where the problem is at. And like I said, it also affects the hiring department. That's why you start looking at the hiring staff. You're starting to see a lot more people with Kool-Aid hair colors, you know, all the weird piercings and everything, a lot of the LGBTQ flags on their shirts. You're starting to see these people more and more within the industry because there is an incentive to hire these people, which we get to the point to where the straight white male gets affected in the cost of this. But it's not just the straight white male, it's the male in general, because if you're a black male or a male of color who also have an issue, someone like me, I'm also is going to get criticized, ridiculed, and attacked for having these opinions as well. So it's more so the male demographic, the male audience, the male spaces are pretty much been infiltrated by this group because they're able to easily be able to influence this group, because the gaming industry has become much bigger than Hollywood itself. And what better way to be able to get your message across than to go after an industry that's making more money than Hollywood and any other industry on the planet right now? So this is the perfect way for them to get into it. And the thing was, we never as gamers had to deal with something like this. We didn't even think something like this was going to ever be possible. And this is why they were able to get in here, because we didn't gatekeep it, because we felt as though we didn't need to gatekeep it. And this is why we at the problem that we at. And then we have the last one. We have the G, which is governance. How does the company board and management drive positive change? Governance includes everything from issues surrounding executive pay to diversity and leadership, as well as how well that leadership responds and interacts with shareholders. And this is the problem. Now we're starting to get more people that's hired based on color, based on gender and sexual orientation rather than merit and people who actually know what the fuck they're doing. That's why you're starting to see the collapse of Disney and all these other projects, especially She-Hulk. I still laugh at the fact is that they hired a team, mostly women, and when they asked them, do they know how to make a lawyer drama, they said no. The creator had no idea how to create a lawyer drama show. So they took the character and bastardized She-Hulk, just fucked it all up. And this is what we start to see in the industry, that we have a lot of people who is not qualified for these jobs, but because it looks good with their social status as a business. That's what all the ESG is. The ESG is essentially a social credit score, but for companies. That's all it is. So if you have great social standing, then you will get great investments. If these investors come in here and see that you have a diverse groups of people that's being hired for in their company, or projects in a video game that have diversity as far as the cast is concerned, or a message that pushes, you know, LGBTQ and all kinds of other narratives, feminism and everything, then these investors are going to invest in it. This is why that these companies don't give a fuck that if the game bombs, it doesn't matter. They already got their money from the ESG investments itself. So this is where it stills. This is where the problem comes in even more. And we're still not done yet. It gets even deeper than this. So you think Sweet Baby Inc. is just the only company that's doing what they're doing, consultations and shaping the industry as we speak? Well, as you look, and this is posted in the Asmongold's Reddit, I believe, and it was tweeted out, somebody got together and brought together a list and said, here's a list of Sweet Baby-esque consultation companies that propagandize gaming, and here's a list of them. This is only the list that they this is the list of companies that they found, and this is 14. It said the rot goes much deeper than we realize. We have Sweet Baby Inc., Black Girl Gamers, Hit Detection, Balance Patch, Silver String Media, Stone Matter Games, Gamer X, James Mendez Hodes, Dragon Baby, Anita Sarkeesian, Weird Ghost, Infinite Ammo Inc., Gamma Space, and Cozy Comic Games. This right here, this list, is the list of companies that does the same exact thing as Sweet Baby Inc. You see how much they have infiltrated the industry? And we're still not done yet. That I want to talk to you guys about. And this company is called Fair Play Alliance. Fair Play Alliance. What is Fair Play Alliance? The Fair Play Alliance is a global coalition of gaming professionals and companies committed to developing quality games. We provide a forum for gaming professionals and companies to work together to develop and share best practices in encouraging healthy communities and awesome player interactions in online gaming. We envision a world where games are free of harassment, discrimination, and abuse, and where players can express themselves through play. Our principle: intentionally evolve how games are made. Facilitate learning and coordination, prioritize inclusivity and safety, uphold the spirit of the game, and promote the value of player dynamics. So, why did I mention this? Because there are so many companies who are aligned with Fair Play Alliance. We go to the members, and you're not going to believe this. There are over 200 game companies represented and included in this alliance. So it's not just the ESG, it's not just Sweet Baby Inc. and the other 13 companies that's similar to Sweet Baby Inc. Now we have the Fair Play Alliance that has over 200 games, 200 game companies. Now, I also have to remind you, these are not just one entity. Some of these game companies owns hundreds of other companies. We have 505 Games, we have Blizzard Entertainment, we have an Amazon game, we have Epic Games, which is Unreal as well. And as you scroll down, Facebook Gaming, we have Discord, we have Roblox, and Unity, Twitch, and the list goes on and on. This is just some of the players right here. This is deep. They're entrenched in this. So this is the question I want to ask you guys. Now that we have this list here, and now that we know how deep this go, and how bad the industry has been infiltrated, I want to ask you this question. What do we do? Where do we go from here? Because there's a lot of you guys say, you know, don't support this game. Don't just boycott this game. Boycotting is not going to stop this. Boycotting is not going to stop this. This is how badly the industry has been infiltrated by the likes of companies like Sweet Baby Inc. and people like Anita Sarkeesian, and then with the ESG pretty much backing this. How do you stop this? How do you fight this? Because boycotting is not going to change this, especially if a company is still going to get money pumped in by the ESG. So what I'm saying is, if you're going to go down and boycott, right, you might as well say you're not playing any video games. Because over 200 companies, still not counting that those 200 companies own other companies, what do? Do you stop playing video games altogether? Because you have Discord on there, you got Unity on there. A lot of games is made on the Unity engine, especially indie games. Are you gonna boycott that too? What are you gonna do? How can you approach this? How can you attack this? And what you guys are doing right now with the curator, I think is a perfect way to go about it. The whole goal is to inform people and allow people to make an informed decision. Because if you notice here on my channel, I never tell you to boycott. I never tell you how to spend your money, because it's your money and how you want to spend your money. And the reason why I tell you that is because it would make me a hypocrite to tell you not to spend your money, then I turn around and spend my money on a game that I told you not to spend your money on. That's why I never tell you guys to boycott. I never tell you how to spend your money. You do what you want with your money. My goal with this channel is to inform you guys so you can make an informed decision of what you want to do moving forward, now that you know what's being done and what's happening to the gaming industry as a whole. And the curator group is doing the same thing as far as the Sweet Baby Inc. is concerned, and is bringing and is highlighting to the normies of what's going on within the industry itself. So what can we do about it? And as I said before, there may be other solutions out there, but there's two of them that always stick out to me the most. And the first thing is to support developers who aren't taken in by the ESG, who just want to create games that's fun and engaging with great stories, great character development, and everything. You invest in money into those, play and support those, share it out to everybody, create a curator group for independents that has great games. Put them in there, give them exposure, show them that there's alternatives, because a lot of us within the gaming industry and the gaming community, a lot of us don't know what's out there because we're so used to playing a particular genre or a particular game, especially AAA gaming, that we enjoy, and we're so used to playing that we don't want to try other things, or we don't know other things exist because we don't go out there. So it's your job to go out there and show that there's other alternatives out there so people can expand and broaden the horizon in their taste. And then the second option, which I've always been saying, and I will continue to say it, create your own shit. Create your own shit. It's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy, but the only way to change this is we have to build around them. We have to build around them. And in order to do that, you have to create your own. And that's what I've been doing. I said it before, Venus Orion Comics, my comic book company. I've been working on this for the past 3 years. Got my LLC. I invested $20,000 of my own money and still putting more money into it. My comic book is in development right now, and my launch campaign is going to start in September. But you want to get more details, a teaser trailer, an explanation, everything leading up to the presentation in September. So I decided that, hey, I'd rather just go back and invest in my hobbies. One of my main favorite hobbies was storytelling. I like to write stories and everything. So why not take it to another level? Why not create something? And I eventually want to get into becoming an independent game developer myself after, you know, expanding my characters, my story, and my comic book series. And I want to go into anime and other things with my brand. But you have to start somewhere. You have to put your money where your mouth is. And that's what I want to do. I want to create fun and engaging stories that hopefully that you guys may enjoy. But sitting around bitching and complaining and getting mad and frustrated and upset is not going to change anything unless you're proactive by doing something. You have to get involved and engaged in some way. Play your part in some way. It doesn't matter how you do it. If you want to go out there and just put the news out there and let people know that Sweet Baby Inc. exists, do it. If you want to put together a list of great independent developers that make great games, do it. That's the only way to pretty much fight against this. But just boycotting is not going to change anything when these companies are being pumped by the ESG and getting this backing no matter what they do. It won't change nothing. So I suggest as well, pick and choose what games you want to buy. Pick and choose your battle when it comes to a lot of these games. Because as I said before, a lot of these games is ran by the ESG. There's nothing you can do about it. So that's pretty much essentially it when it comes to this whole situation. As far as Sweet Baby Inc. is concerned, I definitely want to hear your thoughts. What are your thoughts on ESG? Have you learned something about it now that you know what the ESG is? So when it's mentioned in the comment sections, you know what it's involved and what it's entailed. Do you think there's a chance to fight against, this organization, Sweet Baby Inc., and many others that's like them? Or do you think that more is going to continue to creep in within the industry? Or, as I said before, is there a light at the end of the tunnel that somehow some miracle is going to happen where the industry is going to flip and reset itself? So definitely your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and subscribe button for more gaming content here on this channel. This is MugenLord signing off. I'll see you Game Fiends later. Peace out.